You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Thank you for joining me once again on our Cabral HouseCalls, where we will be answering our community's questions each and every weekend. So excited to be with you here again today. Yesterday, we answered somewhere around 6 or 7 or 8 questions that have been coming in over the past few months. Like I said, we're trying to catch back up. We're getting to questions right now. I know that it's the first-ish week of May, but these questions are actually coming in from February. Remember, if you don't want to wait for your question to be answered on the weekend house calls, you can always get my answers and mainly my health coach's answers as well. But again, they always ask me if they don't know the answer to the question at cabralsupportgroup.com. Cabralsupportgroup.com is a free Facebook group filled with positive people who are looking to better their lives and better the lives of those in the community. You are welcome to ask your questions right there, and we are going to do our best to be able to recommend either the protocol, the lab test, the moving you in the right direction, any of those things right there. And then you also don't even just get my answer, you get the community's feedback as well. So again, I'm always happy to answer your questions, but as you can see, I am only able to take somewhere around between, let's say, 5 and 10 questions per day, somewhere between 10 and 20 questions per weekend. And the more questions that come in, the more that we just have in the queue. So that's all. So just want to let you know, but we're always happy to help. We really are. And you can ask your questions every day right at cabralsupportgroup.com. And another thing that you can do as well is you can always email us at support@stephencabral.com if you have a question on a lab recommendation or setting up an appointment or what nutritional supplement might be best for you, any of those things as well. So just let us know how we can help, really. I mean, that's the whole goal. That's the mission. The Cabral Concept is free. The Rain Barrel Effect, which is my new book, I highly recommend reading that book. All 100% of profits are donated to charity. The Cabral Support Group is completely free. Email support if you want to write into support at stephencabral.com, just looking for the lab test recommendation, any of those things. Those are all completely free. That is our mission to try to provide as much knowledge as possible so that you can truly take back control of your health. Our goal is to be kind of that point of contact to lead you in the right direction. So thank you so much for tuning in, and let's get right into the questions now. Lauren's up first. Dr. Cabral, first, thank you. You continue to help me daily. This question is from my sister. She's 32, doing a month-long nutrition protocol to help with her crohns and her small intestine. She got a CT scan and colonoscopy, and she's on medication now for it. Background, she has herpes simplex virus. She got shingles. Let's see, she's taking Valtrex. She's been on birth control for 15 years. Doctor says her blood work seems fine, but she has elevated testosterone. Can you recommend what to do for Crohn's? What foods to eat or avoid? I want her to see a nutritionist. I'd like her to run organic acids tests, heavy metals, thyroid, food sensitivity. Secondly, can you please recommend absolute necessary testing about not taking any harsh treatments or drugs? Third, could the Valtrex of birth control and herpes simplex virus be causing the Crohn's? I want her to get off those medications. Thanks in advance. All right. Lauren, let me get all of these answers to you. And again, for full questions, rather than me kind of giving you all the highlights, go to stephencabral.com/821. That is all the questions that I'll be reading today and all of the links to the labs or recommendations or products. Or yesterday we talked about spring water and other podcasts. So check that out. That was 820 yesterday. Today's 821. And for all podcasts and to be able to use the search box, go to stephencabral.com/podcast. Okay, so here's the deal. I did a whole episode on how to beat the herpes virus. So it's a 20-minute podcast. So check that out. Go to stephencabral.com/podcast and go to episode 760. So just go to stephencabral.com/760. That episode was how to destroy viruses, herpes, and shingles. So that will tell you how to help your sister with that naturally. And for Crohn's, 2 things we want to look at. 1, we want to look at food sensitivities, an organic acids test, and a stool test. That will let her know about parasites, yeast overgrowth, Clostridium difficile, H. pylori, and food sensitivities. So that would be great. Don't do it while she's on her current nutrition program unless she plans on staying that for the rest of her life. I mean, she can do the organic acids test and stool test, but for the food sensitivity test, have her introduce foods that she would like to test for a couple days before doing the food sensitivity test that we would send to her. Okay, so if she's running the test in New York, she has to fill out a special form, or she has to mail it in from an address outside of New York. That's the only way to do a food sensitivity test. New York has all sorts of special laws, just like California has special laws. So that's what I would do. But also with Crohn's, I'd be remiss if I didn't let you know that so much of Crohn's, so much of shingles is from stress. Your sister, without me knowing her, is most likely someone that's quite stressed. It is very difficult to get really debilitating cases of psoriasis, alopecia, or something like shingles without being highly stressed, whether you know it or not. Now, does the herpes virus exacerbate more stress? Of course, absolutely, right? Because it increases inflammation. You don't feel great. So you feel more stressed. Then that stress is cyclical, right? Then it leads to more of the herpes issues, the virus issues, the immune imbalance, and then that stress leads to digestive-based issues as well. So there's no way I could give you a food list of what's good and what's bad over the podcast. It would actually be completely irresponsible of me since I'm not working directly with your sister. So my recommendation is you can either run the labs through us, whether she wants to run the Big 5 on inflammation levels with the omega-3 test, which is an amazing test, or running the organic acids test, the stool test, the food sensitivity test, and the thyroid hormone adrenal. So that's the Big 5. If she only wants to run the ones that would be most gut-based, well, then I would run the organic acids test, and then I would run the stool test. That would be first, second, and then third would be the food sensitivity test. So those are my recommendations. I hope that helps get your sister on the right path. I know that she can get well because people with Crohn's can get well. People with herpes can get well. They get well. I mean, that's the thing. They really can, because this is not something that you need to live with for the rest of your life. And that's the truth. Now, is it always a direct path to success? No, typically not. But can you get well? Absolutely. Of course you can. All right, Lori's up next. Lori's asking, hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm so glad I found your podcast. I tell everyone about it, and I love passing on the information to them, and I think will help them. Thank you, Lori, for passing that on. I really appreciate it. And as a small favor, if I could ask, if anyone submitted a question, or if you're listening to Cabral House Calls, and if it's helpful at all, I would love for you to be able to scroll to the bottom of today's podcast page at stephencabral.com/podcast or /821. And where it says to leave a 30-second review on iTunes, I would greatly appreciate that. By leaving a review on iTunes, we start to climb up the chart, and it allows us to be found by more people. So if you're already on iTunes, if you could just click the write a review button and just leave, it could be a 1-sentence review if you want. I would really appreciate that. And I read every single one. It gives me a lot of energy. I love that. So thank you. Laurie, let's get to your question. I have a question about my loud stomach. My stomach seems extremely loud after I eat, but there's even times when I haven't eaten anything and it's making gurgling noises. I drink a smoothie every morning using your daily nutritional support, and I just ordered the daily fruit and vegetable blend. I tried using the probiotic, but felt uncomfortable, and so I stopped it. My diet is okay, couldn't be better, but I don't eat red meat. I have occasional chicken and eat mostly fish. I also try to meditate daily. I do get heartburn, and maybe 5 years ago, I was put on Zantac every day. I went off it a year ago, 2 ago. Okay, now this makes total sense, Laurie. I can help you with this. Ironically, I was put on high blood pressure medication a few years ago, even though I'm not overweight and have no other risk factors other than high blood pressure readings. I'm 5'7", 135, work out daily, no red meat, no salt. In your podcast 108, it said low stomach acid could be a cause. I monitored my blood pressure for a month at home and had very good readings. I brought that info to my PCP, and he said I could possibly stop, which I did. I've been monitoring it and have great readings. It's been almost 4 months that I've been off all medication and not even taking over-the-counter Tylenol. I'm wondering if you think my loud stomach is because of overgrowth and I should give the probiotics another try. It made me really bloated and I was uncomfortable. Thank you for your help. I look forward to hearing what you think I should do. All right, Laurie, this is obviously from February 14th, so quite a while ago, but happy to answer this question. Okay, so no doubt about it. Again, I can't guarantee anything, and I cannot diagnose, treat, or anything like that for disease. It's not what I do. I'm a naturopath, all right? So here's the deal. By being on that Prilosec, Zantac, shutting down your stomach acid for quite some time, you were on it, for a year or two, The deal is this, is that you slow down or you wipe out your stomach acid. That allows bacteria to potentially grow in your stomach. It weakens your digestion. Your body is working quite hard, churning, making those stomach noises that you hear, and it allows bacteria to fester. You take a probiotic, it puts more bacteria in the gut, and it can make you bloated. Why? There isn't the proper amount of stomach acid. You do not have the right balance in your stomach. So what can we do? Well, my highest recommendation is to run the organic acids test and the stool test. I've recommended that actually. So it's funny, things just kind of sometimes come in cycles, because sometimes I'm always recommending the thyroid hormone adrenal, or sometimes I'm always recommending the omega-3, but in your case, organic acids test and the stool test. Okay, the stool test, because I want to see if you have H. pylori in your stomach. Heartburn, gurgling, those types of things, really good sign of H. pylori. So we want to test that. The only real test for that, I mean, in my opinion, the only real test for that is not a breath test, not a blood test, but a stool test. We'll find it on a stool test, okay? So, okay, that's that. The second one's the organic acids test to see if there's any yeast overgrowth or bacterial overgrowth. Remember, if you take out your stomach acid by being on an acid blocker, I'm going to do a whole show on this, because our population is being decimated in terms of their health by people being on acid blockers. It is letting parasites get a free run right through. It's letting bacteria get a free run, and it's allowing for yeast overgrowth in the intestines. Why? Because your stomach acid is supposed to kill parasites in food, kill bacteria in food, and allow for faster transit time. If you do not have stomach acid, you're just allowing a free pass for all of those things coming in. So that is that. That's really that. It honestly is. So that's how I believe you'll get your answer, Lori, or keep using your daily fruit and vegetable blend, keep using your daily nutritional support, and just begin with the Candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol. However, I highly recommend checking for the H. pylori and parasites with that stool test as well. Because if we find those, well, we're going to be using add-ons to your Candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol. So hopefully that helps. We'll link everything up in today's show notes at stephencabral.com/821. Deb's up next. Deb writes in, Dr. Cabral, I'm a new convert to your wealth of health insights thanks to a friend, Lisa. Okay, I'm going to take out Lisa's last name so we don't give her any shout-outs that she may not want, but I know Lisa. I actually just spoke with Lisa the other day. She's a great person, and she's having some amazing breakthroughs in her own health after many, many years. So I'm very proud of Lisa's work, and thank you, Deb, for writing in. She says, I'm a 68-year-old female with Hashimoto's who has osteoporosis in both hips and osteopenia in the spine. I've resisted taking the different types of medications because of bone loss. I eat healthy, mostly Mediterranean. I focus on exercise, strengthening my muscles, butt muscles, eating all the right supplements. A functional medicine osteoporosis expert, while not a fan particularly, proposes, while not a fan particularly, to take Prolia and 1 year and follow up with Fosamax, just because she does not want a greater risk of fracture. My integrative PCP is proposing Prolia and does not like the biphosphonates. What is your advice, please? Okay, so this is what I typically recommend for anyone with osteoporosis or osteopenia, is that I want to run a adrenal hormone test and a hair tissue mineral analysis test. All right, and here's why. If the body is higher in stress, then the body is always going to be pulling calcium from the bones. And the reason is this: the body needs calcium to elicit the fight or flight based response. You'll hear this almost nowhere. I learned this through bioregulatory medicine, which I'm going to do a whole show about in the future. Essentially, what I practice is called bioregulatory medicine. Nobody really knows or has heard about that term, but it's going to become much more popular. Just like functional medicine is becoming popular, think of bioregulatory medicine as the root cause that functional medicine uses. So my upcoming certifications this fall, I'll be teaching essentially bioregulatory medicine. That's what I believe in. I was, again, how do all these things happen? Nobody knows, right? It's all serendipity. And I learned about bioregulatory medicine as I was studying as a young naturopath and being exposed to many different things. I made myself be exposed to it. I made myself question all assumptions. I said, I don't have the answers. I don't know it all. Everything that I thought was true ends up being only part of the equation. So I studied veganism. I studied paleo. I studied primal. I studied just the carnivore-based diet. I studied just being a fruitarian. I studied all of these different things. And I said, what can I take from this? What can I take from this? What can I take from this? And then I was exposed to something called homotoxicology. Now, if you want to know what homotoxicology is in bioregulatory medicine, go to stevencabral.com/podcast and type in homotoxicology, right? Just kind of like it sounds. HOMOTOXICITY. I believe that's how you spell it. Speaking and spelling at the same time is not my forte, but homotoxicology, just type that into the search bar and you'll actually see it's a very, very interesting concept. And I'm a complete believer. And the reason is that that's how I got sick. That's how I see most people getting sick, because I do a full health intake. Meaning your first appointment with my health coaches or myself in my practice is literally a 1-hour intake. No recommendations, no whatever. We need to understand how you got here. Nothing else matters until I understand who you are, where you're at right now, and how you got here. All right. And then after that, I can make lab-based recommendations. Then your next time, we can go over your labs. I can give you your exact personalized wellness plan. And then on our third appointment, we actually then do check-ins. We do tweaking of your protocol. I mean, really, like this is honestly believe it's the future of healthcare. I truly believe that. And that's what I'm going to be teaching as well this upcoming fall to others. So I don't know if that answered your question at all. So let me bring it back all around again. All right. So you want to figure out what's causing all of this bone deterioration. Because right now, Deb, the deal is this, is that you could stop osteoporosis and osteopenia in its tracks, typically naturally. All right. So you do that with something like the daily nutritional support shake. You do it with the daily fruit and vegetable blend. You do it with the daily probiotic support, meaning like the Dr. Cabral daily protocol. That's what I do myself. It gives you all the nutrients that you need. Okay. Because you need the gut bacteria as well. Really, really important. All right. So then the next thing we do is this. For someone in your position, we're usually using something like the CalMag Complete. All right. So it's absorbable calcium and absorbable magnesium as well to get into the bones. We might also be even using a vitamin K, vitamin D based product, right? So not vitamin D2, and we're using the natural forms of vitamin K that I did a super nutrient of the week on that as well. So again, you can just go to my Friday reviews and find out the super nutrient of the week for that. Just type in vitamin K if you want. So that's going to help you. So what I typically do is this. I get people on this protocol. They do it for a year, no drugs, and then they test their bones again. And they say, was there any additional bone loss? And if the answer is no, well, you found the ticket. You found what you need to do. Use something like the Adrenal Soothe. Use the CalMag. Use CBD oil. Use things that calm the central nervous system. You can, again, run that on the thyroid adrenal hormone test. And you can run the hair tissue mineral analysis to also look for heavy metals. So then you can start to do the things to help build back up the bones, like the strength training. Again, 2 to 3 days a week of strength training, really, really important, okay? And then if there's no bone loss, well, good, you found what you need to do. But if there is a lot more bone loss, well, then that might be the time to look into medication if that fits for you. So again, I can't give you medical advice, but I'm giving you what I might personally do myself or recommend to my mom or recommend to anyone else. All right. So yeah, hopefully that helps, Deb. Sarah is up next. Sarah asks she's going to be tied up there with one of the longest questions. So since this doesn't take up the rest of the podcast, I'm going to give you the ad-lib version, and then you can go to stevencabral.com/821 to read her whole question. All right. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I recently got introduced to you through Jay Ferrugia's podcast, and I've been tuning in often for your podcast ever since. I've been sharing it with friends and colleagues whenever I hear something that might help them. So thank you for your insights and straightforward approach to healing. All right, let me get to some of this. And thank you, Sarah, for writing in. She's been doing some food sensitivities in Ottawa, Canada. She's changed her diet, saw immediate results, and feeling amazing. She's 5'4", used to weigh around 105, 110. After her second child, kept gaining weight. She reached the 130s, felt tired all the time, lost 18 pounds in about 3 months by removing food sensitivities. All right, I have more energy and zest for life. She goes through her food sensitivities. She still experiences frequent bloating and gas and sometimes constipation after a cheat meal, no matter how small the cheat is. All right, the funny thing is that my food sensitivities seem to change every few months. I also struggle with psoriasis on the scalp. Jen, Sarah, I already know what your answer is, so we'll get to that in just a second. What else is going on, though? I recently eliminated coffee and alcohol, but it didn't seem to do anything. Go to bed close to 10, take my magnesium, my B12, Wonder if there are any specific recommendations to figure out what's going on with my digestion and psoriasis. I suspect they're related. Sarah, you're right. However, I'm not clear what the best protocol is. Candida, the 7, 14, or 21-day Dr. Cabral detox. Weight loss is not my goal. And based on my body type, what should I be doing different from my macronutrients? Also, my nutritionist method did not identify the severity of food sensitivities. All right, Lent has started, so this is the perfect time for my body to reset my mind. Look forward to your suggestions. Thank you so much. And again, this came in on February 14th. A lot of questions came in on February 14th. All right, Sarah, exactly. We know what to do. All right, why all the issues with the bloating? Why all the issues with the digestive issues? Why do your food sensitivities seem to change every few months? And why do you have the psoriasis? Here's the deal. Leaky gut, increased intestinal permeability. What happens is when your gut wall, so think of your gut wall as literally a single cell organism that has these tight junctions that is only supposed to let through digested proteins, digested sugars, and digested fatty acids. Okay. So when the openings start to open because of inflammation in the gut or Advil or birth control or alcohol, poor food combining, stress, any of those things, all right? The tight junctions can begin to open. And when they open, they allow protein strands start to come through, which means that let's say you eliminate some proteins, and then remember, all foods have proteins, and then you start to introduce others. Well, in a couple months, now your body is reacting to those new proteins. So what we have here seems to be, again, no diagnosis, right? What we seem to have here is a clear-cut case of intestinal permeability, where those proteins come through, they have an immune-based reaction. Your genetics allow for the expression of psoriasis. But remember, your genetics don't have to trump everything. Once we remove the yeast overgrowth or the SIBO, the small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, we replace that good digestive stomach acid and enzymes and bile, all of those things, and we seal up your gut wall, well, all of a sudden, the bloating is gone. The psoriasis dissipates. So I've done many shows in psoriasis. I'm going to do a full show on psoriasis in the future as well, and skin-based issues. But here's what I want you to do. Run an organic acids test and run a stool test. That's what I recommend. If you can only do one, I want you to run the organic acids test. After that, we'll see what's going on, organic acids test and stool test. We will make our recommendations based on what we find. You'll get my recommendations. You'll speak with one of my health coaches. You'll get the full plan. And then after we do that, we figure out what's going on. We're going to help to rebalance the body at a root cause level. We're then going to heal and seal that gut wall. We'll give you a couple topical things just in the short term for the psoriasis. We're going to get your body feeling great. Like, that's the bottom line. So what I would do is I would run the lab while you're waiting for the lab results to come in, because after you run the lab, you'll speak with my health coach in about 4 weeks from then. You just email in, letting them know, okay, I ran the lab. And then 3 weeks before that, you can start the 21-day Dr. Cabral detox, get all that stuff out of your system, get your liver purified, get your blood cleansed, and then you'll go right onto our recommended protocol. So it's really, really nice. Works very, very cleanly, succinctly. And I always tell people, if you do it right, you only have to do it once, right? I mean, I won't lie. 5 years from now, people slide back sometimes because life gets in the way. But what happens is you got well, you now have a blueprint for what you know works, you repeat it as needed, and you get well. Like, that's the whole thing about life. It really is like, we need to figure out what works for our body. We need to figure out what our genetics say. I mean, like, your genetics say, if you let yourself slide, if you get the intestinal permeability, if you eat the wrong foods, okay, here's the deal. You will get psoriasis. Me, I let things slide. I'm going to have all sorts of blood sugar dysregulation, and I'm going to have joint pain, starting with my small extremities, which is my thumb and my toes, feet as well. So, like, again, we all have our own thing. And so yours is skin-based and mine's more joint-based and blood sugar dysregulation and brain fog and mood and irritability and all those things, right? Because I have a very sensitive body. But when I keep my body balanced, I'm balanced. I feel great. And I know that we can do the same for you. So thank you, Sarah, for writing in. That was a great question. All of the links today to whether it's a lab test or whether it's spring water or whatever it might be, will be at stephencabral.com/821. And remember to use that search bar. Just go to stephencabral.com/podcasts and type in your keyword, whether it's psoriasis or whether it's food sensitivity, whatever it might be. Feel free to type it in there. And a lot of times you'll be able to find a previous podcast of where I talked about that specific product or topic, and you'll be able to get a lot of the answers that you need. And remember, if you don't want to wait the 6 weeks, 8 weeks for me to get back to you, I wish it didn't take that long. But again, I'm as I say, only one person, you can write in at cabralsupportgroup.com. And I know that you're going to be able to get at least a great starting point right there, usually same day, if not next day. Thank you so much, everyone. I truly appreciate you. Truly appreciate you being a part of the community. And as a lot of people wrote in, just absolutely amazed at all the sharing and all of the help that you are providing to others as well. So thank you so much, and stay tuned tomorrow for our Mindset and Motivation Monday. It's going to be a great one. Take care. Speak with you then. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing, and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests, or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.